It's a quiet morning in Rome. The bells of St. Peter's Basilica echo through the ancient streets, but today they carry a different weight. Something historic has happened. Inside the Vatican's stone corridors, where centuries of tradition meet the modern world, a new chapter is being written. It's not flashy, there's no royal fanfare, but those who pass through the Vatican gates can feel it, a calm, steady shift toward humility and purpose. At the heart of it all stands Robert Francis Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV. Born in Chicago, raised in modest circumstances, his ascent to the papacy defies expectations. There are no aristocratic titles in his lineage, no powerful Vatican connections that greased his rise. What he carries instead is a soft-spoken voice, a sharp intellect, and a quiet fire forged through decades of missionary work and service. What makes his election even more extraordinary is how deeply American he remains in sensibility, while being globally grounded in experience. Here is a man who spent more than a decade living among the poor in Peru, who walked through dusty village roads to deliver sacraments, who lived simply, prayed earnestly, and preferred conversations under mango trees to marble conference rooms. And now, he sits at the head of a 1.3 billion member church. This is not just aesthetic simplicity, it's an ethos. Leo XIV's humility is not performative. It's a continuation of a lifelong philosophy, that leadership is about listening, not commanding. That holiness is measured in empathy, not optics. That change begins not in declarations, but in presence. The first American pope hasn't just moved into Rome. He's moving the heart of the church, one simple, intentional step at a time. Born in 1955 in Chicago to a working-class family, Prevost didn't grow up with thoughts of red velvet thrones or papal palaces. His parents, Louis Marius Prevost and Mildred Martinez, instilled in him a mix of French, Italian, and Spanish values, grounded in faith, discipline, and community. While many American teens in the 70s were chasing disco lights or drafting college plans, young Robert was already thinking differently. He chose a path of spirituality, joining the Augustinian order, and later studying mathematics and philosophy at Villanova University. Fun fact, before becoming a priest, he was a math major. That analytical training later served him well in administration. He's known in the Vatican for blending logic with compassion in his decisions. Prevost's call to service took him beyond the borders of the U.S. In the mid-1980s, he moved to Peru. There, in the dusty towns and rural provinces, he didn't just preach. He listened, taught, built, and healed. His Spanish roots helped him connect deeply with the people. He didn't live in marble palaces. He lived among the poor. He ran a seminary. He helped in legal cases as a canon lawyer. And he was known to sit on street corners with locals just to hear their stories. In fact, locals in Trujillo, where he served the longest, affectionately called him Padre Roberto. Even when he returned to Rome, Peru stayed in his heart. And in his passport, he became a dual citizen, carrying both American and Peruvian nationalities. Prevost is one of the few popes to have dual citizenship and be fluent in English, Spanish, Italian, and Latin. He once joked that he hears confessions in more languages than some people speak in a lifetime. In 2001, Prevost became the global head prior general of the Augustinian order. This wasn't a cushy Vatican job. It meant global travel, meeting with local missions, solving disputes in far-flung convents, and representing his order at the highest levels. He led the order for 12 years and earned a reputation for humility, clarity, and diplomacy. When he returned to Peru as Bishop of Chiclayo, many were surprised. Why leave Rome's influence to serve in a rural diocese? But that's the essence of Robert Francis Prevost: service over status. By 2023, Pope Francis appointed him prefect of the dicastery for bishops, the Vatican office that selects, vets, and manages bishops across the world. It's one of the most powerful roles in the church. And yet, Prevost continued living simply. He didn't upgrade to lavish quarters. He still cooked his own meals, preferred books over banquets, and was known to walk rather than be chauffeured. While many Vatican officials employ private chefs, Pope Leo XIV still makes his own Peruvian-style coffee every morning and prefers walking in the Vatican gardens to any motorcade. When the papal conclave was called in 2025 after Pope Francis's passing, few believed an American had a chance. Traditionally, popes from superpower nations are avoided for fear of global imbalance. His election was quick, and when the white smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel, the world met Pope Leo XIV. Not just a religious leader, but a man who's seen poverty, held dying hands in mission hospitals, negotiated with rebel factions in Latin America, and led one of the most complex organizations on Earth. His papal name, Leo, honors Pope Leo XIII, a 19th century pope known for defending workers' rights and launching Catholic social teaching. Another quiet nod to Prevost's lifelong concern for justice. So what does the lifestyle of Pope Leo XIV look like? It's not helicopters and golden rings. It's a simple wooden crucifix around his neck. It's worn prayer books and handwritten notes. He prefers pastoral visits over press conferences. When not traveling, he spends time in silent prayer, writes personal letters to bishops across the globe, and maintains a near-daily walk through the gardens of Castel Gandolfo when he visits the papal summer residence. He's also a tech-savvy pontiff. Leo XIV is known for personally scrolling through Catholic Twitter accounts and watching YouTube homilies from young priests and nuns, not to monitor, but to stay connected. Fun fact, he's the first pope to have ever hosted a Zoom call with all major seminary rectors from 5 continents at once, using the occasion to speak about vocations in the digital age. But perhaps the most shocking thing about Leo XIV is how unshocking his personal choices are. He lives more like a monk than a monarch. He drives a used Fiat when in Rome. He's been spotted wearing the same shoes he had during his bishopric days. And his favorite meal? A bowl of lentil soup with bread. The contrast is stark when compared to traditional images of papal luxury. But that's the point. Leo XIV isn't redefining the papacy through revolution. He's returning it to its roots: humility, dialogue, compassion, and fearless truth. What has surprised many insiders is how effective he is behind the scenes. His simple lifestyle masks a razor-sharp political instinct. His leadership is strategic but not cynical. He listens, he builds consensus, and he always ends meetings with prayer no matter how tense the discussions. In his first major address, Leo XIV said something that stuck with millions. The church does not need louder voices. It needs deeper echoes. We must speak to hearts, not just headlines. And in that moment, the world began to understand who he really is. Pope Leo XIV, once Robert Francis Prevost of Chicago, isn't trying to be a celebrity. He's trying to be a servant. In an age obsessed with power and polish, he's showing the world that quiet integrity might just be the loudest force of all.